Welcome to episode 5 of Coach On and Off the Field. I am Jen Zeidner, and I'm so excited to be back here with you again this week, where I'm going to be talking to you about how positive reinforcement allowed my team to achieve sustainable results throughout the entire losing season. While my team lost every single game during the 2017 fall season, my boys still maintained an awesome level of positive attitudes, enthusiastic energies, and joyful spirits. And I kept saying, how do they do that? That is so incredible. And I believe that it comes back down to that I created a safe place for them to fail through the use of positive reinforcement throughout the entire season. A recent Harvard Business Review article reported that positive reinforcement actually motivates employees better than punishment does. One could say, well, obviously, but when you hear that though, what is your first thought about how you handle your employees? How do you handle, they make a mistake or maybe they don't meet their quotas or their goals? How do you handle that? Positive reinforcement, or are you always criticizing? When my players could not learn a simple task of passing, not gonna lie, I was extremely frustrated. As a coach, as a leader, I wanted to scream and bench the entire darn team. But in reality, what good would that have truly done for our already losing team? We would have only lost that momentum that we have worked so hard to build over the entire season. Manly Feinberg, a business speaker and author based in St. Louis, says that when it comes to motivating employees, it comes down to one key element: momentum. Momentum is the real key to success to any positive motivational program, and motivation driven by consistency. And so when you're low performing employees, they make great decisions that actually constitute for the better of your entire team. How do you respond to that? Do you recognize the positive behavior, or do you remain focused on the fact that they still haven't achieved their monthly quota or their monthly goals? How do you truly respond? And so how about when your entire team, they continue to implement the same old habits over and over and over that you have taught and trained and coached them on to teach them the new expectations and the new protocols, but they're just not getting it? How are you dealing with it? Are you reprimanding them, or are you finding a common understanding and speaking to that experience to experience that change, desire, behavior that you're looking for? A Vanderbilt University study stated that understanding behavior at an individual level is key to success. No organization can produce results without human behavior. The subject that managers must most become experienced in or become an expert in is in how to create a work environment that brings out the very best in the people that they're managing every single day. This, y'all, is where I had to focus my energies, and I experienced the greatest success because I had to transform out of my usual winning mentality, and I had to transform it into positive reinforcement. I had to find a way to bring out the very best in each and every player on my field. I had to make certain that they felt truly how proud I was of them, even after an excruciating loss. They had to feel truly that Coach Jen was proud. In fact, I had players tell me that I was so proud of their boys that after the big tournament game, they looked at me and said, "Coach Jen, you are the happiest losing coach that we've ever met." But I was honored because while they thought that I was selling their sons a false hope, they failed to realize that this happy losing coach was just providing their sons with what they needed most: positive reinforcement, a strategy that would reward the behaviors that I wanted to see on the field in order for them to experience that ultimate joy that they got to experience on that tournament day. I had faith in the results. I had faith in the effort if they would just apply it for me. So yes, this happy losing coach got what she wanted. And I feel like it's super important to add, though, that there were times when I was not always the happy coach, and that I was not always the super bubbly Coach Jen that the boys came to love. And in fact, it's because I simply did not want to set false expectations that they could not apply what I asked and that they would still be rewarded. Because Feinberg states that when you accept, tolerate, or otherwise allow behaviors that you don't want to see, you're actually rewarding those as well by continuing to employ and compensate the employees. And so there was one specific game that my boys showed up with zero effort. They lacked enthusiasm, and they simply gave up on the field. You could tell that they didn't want to be there. And it was at this time that I turned on my, here's Coach Jen hat. And I gave the boys one hell of a cardio practice that I wouldn't even want to go through the following week. These boys quickly realized that as long as that they were progressing, they were showing effort, they were implementing skills that we had practiced, and that they showed that they wanted to be there and actually learn, that I would remain positive and give them that continuous positive reinforcement. Because it was this positive reinforcement that changed the overall attitude and morale of the team. They started performing for me and each other, but most importantly, they started improving for themselves. They were brand new boys for each other and for themselves on the team. They were becoming the best versions of them. And when focusing on change management in your organization, you want to make sure to apply the top 3 keys to positive reinforcement to make sure you see that change. Number 1, make it personal. You want to make sure that you are not giving the same feedback to each and every player on your team, because I have one player that can pass really well while I have another that is a top scorer. And I must make sure to compliment each specific behavior appropriately in order to gain the respect of each specific player. I can't tell my passer what a great shot that was when they are in fact not the one that shot it. And number 2, make it consistent. You want to make certain that you have a cadence of positive reinforcement, and you don't want to be positive one minute and negative the next, unless it's warranted, of course, but you want to have that consistency. Your players or team members, they need to see that you are their biggest fan and that you're in their corner, even when they are low performing. They need to know that you as their boss have their back. Now, this does not mean that you thank your employees each and every time that they show up to work on time, because that's an expected part of their jobs. But when they do apply that one skill that you have been coaching them on, that you have been complimenting them on, and you've been training them on, that you're going to compliment that because you see that excelled and that improved. This is where the trust begins. And number 3, make it specific. The employees need to understand the association between reward and the desired specific behavior. For example, my players knew that if the ball was kicked from the opposing team and it was in the air, that if they didn't catch the ball before it hit the ground, that they were going to do burpees. And sometimes they were doing burpees in the middle of the game on the field. Yes, I was that coach. And so, but if they applied this skill and they would trap the ball, like I taught them, either with their heads, their chest, or their thighs, and they wouldn't let it hit, and they would receive it so they could pass it to our team and get the ball to the other end, that they would be rewarded with a high five and an avoidance of burpees. And so it was very specific. They knew exactly which skill they needed to apply, why they needed to apply it, how it was going to help them advance on the field when they applied it, how it was going to hinder them should they not apply it on the field, and what the consequence would be from their coach specifically when they did not apply it. It was all about specifics, thus making the reward that much sweeter when they did apply it, so that they could enjoy and embrace the fact that they weren't doing burpees and that we were getting the ball down the field so that we could then score. Remember, managers help people see themselves as they are, but leaders help people see themselves better than they are. So as you are leading your teams both on and off the field, you are guaranteed to see sustainable results throughout the entire season, both during your losing seasons and your winning seasons. Thank you so much for watching Coach On and Off the Field. Make sure you join us next Thursday as I come on for our final episode, where I talk about how you can use an entire losing season, as brutal as it may be, to use that to gain a deeper level of learning amongst your entire team, and you can take advantage of that season you're in. Thank you so much and have a blessed week. It has been a pleasure being here with you.